Unforgettable, yeah. Remember the name. We talk about topics, we say what we mean. No games, we keep it real and raw. Let the truth come through. Free zone, the space is for you. Get comfortable, relax, get loose. Kick off your day, shake off that bruise. Welcome to the unfiltered corner. It's true, the unforgettables here. I'm right with you. And we're riding with you. Yo, hey you guys. Welcome to the Unfiltered Corner. I am your host, the Unforgettable. What's up, peoples? Happy Friday, you guys. I've had a very, very busy day today, you guys. But I'm happy because my son got his car on the road. I had to buy this. I'm happy because my son got his car on the road. We helped him buy his first car. So little by little, baby steps, we've been, what do you call that? We've been, what do you call it? Like reaching our goals, you guys. You know what I'm saying? So little by little, we're helping our kids, get on top of their game, we're helping our kids, build their credit. We're helping the kids do things, Our kids. All right, just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Build their credit. But anyways, you guys, what's up? Good evening. Coming on a little late. I told you guys I'm not setting a schedule. I'm just like doing impromptus and that's it. Like, because I'm so busy and I had a busy day. We finally brought the car home. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. Welcome to the Unfiltered Corner, you guys. But anyways, tonight we're gonna talk an interesting topic. It's going to be very interesting and you know what made me talk about this, you guys? What made me talk about this topic was, don't forget to like and subscribe, you guys. Thank you for being here. What made me talk about this topic is called Bad Kids Don't Just Happen, okay? The reason I'm talking about this is today I was at the grocery store not too long ago. And there was two people standing outside with a poster, and they were selling chocolates and taking donations for troubled teens to like help keep them off the streets and do what they gotta do. And hold on, guys. Just hold on a second. Or shoplifter. Hold on. I don't know what you're saying. This is what I do. I put people like that on timeout because like I can't stand people coming here disrespecting in the chat. But anyways, you guys, and they were raising money for kids, that are troubled to try to keep them off the streets and do programs for them. And I was like, and then I stood there for a little bit. I donated money. My husband donated money. My son did too. And we didn't want the chocolate because they were selling the chocolate. We just want kids to stay off the streets and have, a program for themselves. That's all I was worried about. And I noticed a lot of people were like passing by them and not wanting to like help out. And then these are the first people that are like complaining that these kids are out here, wreaking havoc and doing bad things and getting into trouble and being criminals and all this shit. So I was like, damn, but we got to talk about that though. But anyways, you guys, just remember, bad kids don't just happen. Okay. And we're just going to get right into this. I appreciate everybody being here. Everybody, joining my live. I just want to set it straight. This is a judgment-free zone. We talk about things in life. We talk about anything we want to talk about. And if I see any type of disrespect in my chat, you're going to be blocked. Point blank, period. I'm not going to tolerate it. But anyways, you guys, bad kids don't just happen. We're going to get right into it, you guys. We hear it all the time. That kid is bad. We hear that shit all the time. Or they're out of control. Or they're a lost cause. But here's the question nobody asks, right? What happened to those kids before they became the kid everyone was afraid of? I'm not here to excuse harmful choices. I will clarify that, or any harmful behavior, right? I'm here to challenge the idea that children become troubled. That children become troubled overnight. Every story has a beginning. And sometimes the beginning is where we should have been paying attention. Truth, okay? So, give me a minute, you guys. Hold on, I'm trying to like open up my notes here. Have you ever looked at a teenage kid or a teenager and thought, what happened to that kid? Not because they got caught fighting, not because they were arrested, not because they were expelled from school, but because somewhere behind all that anger was once a little child who laughed and played and, was innocent. And behind that child, behind all the anger, there was a child who laughed, trusted, they dreamed, and believed the adults in their life would protect them. Okay? Nobody enters the world full of hate. No baby is born violent. No toddler wakes up wanting to destroy lives, including their own. Somewhere along the way, something changed. Maybe they were ignored every time they cried. Maybe they watched violence become normal in their home. Maybe they were abused. Maybe they were abandoned, bullied, or told they would never amount to anything or become anything in life. Maybe every adult who was supposed to protect them looked the other way. Hi, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Then one day, that hurting child became the bad kid. And suddenly everyone has an opinion on them. Lock them up. Put them somewhere. Put them in a program. They're out of control. They're a lost cause. They're not going to amount to nothing. They ain't going to be no good. Right? But where was all that outrage when they was crying for help in silence? Today's conversation isn't about pretending harmful choices don't matter. They absolutely do. It's about asking the questions too many people are uncomfortable asking. Did we notice the child before we judged the teenager? Ask yourself that. Because sometimes what we call rebellion is really heartbreak. Sometimes what we call disrespect is years of pain with nowhere to go. And sometimes the kid everyone has given up on has been fighting battles they were never old enough to carry. Today, we're talking about the stories behind that behavior. Because bad kids just don't happen. Don't just happen. Just like I was saying one time when I had a live talking about drug addicts. You think that a drug addict was little and they said, when I grow up, I want to become a drug addict. Or alcoholics. You think when they were a kid, they're like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be alcoholic. No. Something happened along the lines. And that's what we're talking about this. And it's truly sad, you guys. It's truly sad that this is happening in our society, okay? Hi, Gilmar. Don't forget to like and subscribe, you guys, okay? There's a lot of kids going through some shit. Like our society of kids, this generation of kids, they lost. There's a lot of shit going on with our kids nowadays. And what made me talk about this, like I said earlier in my live, is I was up at the grocery store and there was two people collecting funds for children or teenagers to keep them off the streets and help them. And people were like turning the blind eye. People just kept on walking. I donated. So people are turning the blind eye, but they're the first ones judging when these kids get in trouble or end up on the news or end up arrested or doing something wrong. First ones to judge, but the least to help. And I said, we need to talk about this because I've come across a lot of troubled teens and a lot of emotional teens, yo. Okay? Now, break it down. What makes a bad kid? We're going to put it in quotations, okay? Discuss how society often labels young people based on behavior instead of looking deeper. What I said, they judge them and they label them without looking deeper, without knowing what that kid went through growing up. And where were they lacking in their life? Attention, love, support, whatever. The upbringing they were having. They don't look into that. They're the first ones to judge these kids, okay? And these are examples of behaviors people label these kids, okay? People label. Examples of behaviors people label, right? Fighting, stealing, skipping school, running away, drug use, defiance, bullying, vandalism, okay? And there's more that we could add to the story. Now ask yourself this, when do adults decide a child is bad? If real quick to judge, but they don't know what the hell that kid been through, what's been going on in their brain and what's going on in their life. Unfortunately, homeless teens have really nowhere to go unless they have a child and they are offered housing. Absolutely, I agree. I totally agree. A lot of teenagers out here, I don't see a lot of help for these teenagers and these young kids out here. And our society of kids is being lost into drugs and gangs. We're losing our kids to all this stuff, you know? And this is why when I saw those two people up there collecting money at the grocery store for these kids, I was like, that's a great thing, bro. And people were just turning the blind eye. Like the customers were coming in and out of the grocery store and like turning their face. I get it. The economy is hard. Everybody's going through it financially. But listen, I'm going through it financially. I waste money on cigarettes. I waste money going out to eat. I waste money on other things. I think I could spare a few dollars to help kids keep them off the streets. You know what I'm saying? And how can labels affect a young person's identity? People are going to see them that way for the rest of their life. Instead of looking into what happened with that teen or with that kid, you know? And these are the root causes. We're going to discuss it, right? We're going to explore factors that can contribute to troubling behavior with these kids nowadays. And these are risk factors, not guarantees that a young person will become violent or commit crimes, right? And possible factors of these kids becoming the way they are, right, is because of physical or emotional abuse that they grew up with. A lot of neglect, parents not paying attention to them, not listening to them, not being there for them. Domestic violence. They grew up around domestic violence, parents beating on each other or beating on neighbors or something, just always around violence. And violence within the home, within the parents or the boyfriend, the girlfriend, and all this stuff. Family conflict. Excuse me. Family conflict. Another possible factor to this troubling behavior could be loss of a parent or caregiver. A lot of these kids lose their parents and they have nowhere to go. They have nobody to turn to. And people are turning a blind eye to them. Truth. Another possible factor for teenagers being like this or kids and contributing to troubled behavior, right? It could be poverty and housing instability. You just said it, user. Like no housing for these kids out here. They're on their own once they're out here in the cool world. Okay? And poverty, growing up poor with nothing in your life. These kids, that takes a big toll on these kids' lives, you guys. Okay? Another contributing factor to troubling behavior is, and these are possibilities, you guys. We were not naming them all, just some, okay? Untreated mental health conditions. I remember growing up, I told you guys before, it was taboo when we needed counseling or we had depression or something. This was taboo for our parents. So if you had untreated mental health conditions that your parents never treated because we were younger, like in my time, like that affects us as adults now. Another thing is substance abuse in the family. Truth. Another contributing factor to this type of behavior, troubling behavior, is bullying or social isolation. Being bullied at home, because there's parents that bully their kids. There's siblings that bully these kids. There's family members that bully the kids, and outside in society too. Social isolation from everybody else. Because nobody knows how to be nice nowadays to these, in society. Another contributing factor to this is exposure to violence. That's a big one. And we could go on. We could put the list on. Exposure to gang activity. Exposure to a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, we sit here, and well, not me, because I don't like labeling kids, and I don't like saying, oh, this kid is a troubled kid or something. There has to be a reason a child's acting this way. But a lot of people are too lazy. A lot of parents are too lazy to even look into it, to get help for their kids. They're too selfish. They're too self-centered. They don't take the time to try to figure it out, to try to help their kid. I'll give you an example. I have teenage girls. I have boys too. My two older boys. One is going to be 21. The other one's going to be 19. My son. My older son, he really was not troubling. Like, he didn't really have much troubling behavior. He was more quiet, on the reserve side. My almost 19-year-old, he had undiagnosed ADHD. And it was hard to understand him. We didn't know how to deal with it, obviously. So I started to seek help for him because he was growing angry. And then there was parts in our life that we were a little bit unstable. And instability for kids with ADHD caused them anger and acting out, and it caused a lot of shit. And another factor is, like, Mr. Unforgettable, when we had to discipline or like take care of something, we both had to be on the same page, and we were always on different pages. You get what I'm saying? But we figured it out, and we helped him. And today he's a high school graduate, and he's working at a bank. And he got his degrees to work in auto body repairs. He plans on working in that. Him and his girlfriend bought their first car. And they're making good decisions, okay? So what happens when you're standing 10 toes down for your children and you're listening and watching? Yes, it is. Thank you. That's what happens when you're paying attention and you want to fix the problem and nip it in the bud. But unfortunately, there's a lot of kids out here that don't got parents like that. And as stubborn as we are as parents, we need to listen to these therapists. And so when I got help for my son and a mentor and all this stuff and therapists, we started working on it. One big problem that we found out was when my son was younger, the one that had ADHD, undiagnosed, that we figured out later, was that he used to hear me calling my husband by his nickname. And instead of calling him dad, they were calling him by his nickname. And what happens when these kids start calling you by your nickname, they see you as a friend. They don't see you as a parent. So the respect is not there. You get where I'm coming from, you guys? That's one thing they told us we had to correct. And as parents, we need to swallow our pride, and we need to start fixing these little things. We need to learn. We need to learn to take advice from these professionals. We need to learn to intake any type of help. And swallow our pride and learn to receive this so we can help our children. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we did. Okay. Um, then I have my 16-year-old daughter, right? She started showing some troubling behavior as well, here and there. And we figured out, we nipped it in the butt. We're trying to nip it in the butt still. She's still a work in progress, okay? And I mean, I'm not saying that she was a bad person, but she had a few things that we're still trying to correct as parents, and we're still addressing, okay? And we're seeking the right routes. We seek some therapy for her, some individual therapy. I found her a wonderful therapist that she can kind of sit and see eye to eye with her, and she feels comfortable with her. We're trying to get her some mentoring going. You know what I'm saying? And we're looking for ways to kind of help her. And another good thing is, you guys, when you have kids, you have to sit down and listen to your kids. Because sometimes as parents, we're so caught up within our own lives, our own bills, work, and everything else that we forget that we got to listen to our kids. Because sometimes these behaviors come from them crying out that they need attention and they need to be heard. So I sit down with my kids and I listen. And they tell me how they feel about certain things and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So we're nipping in the butt still with my daughters, the 16-year-old, you know? But they're great kids. You know, these acting out, you guys, we can't be out here judging these kids in society, bro. We need to figure out, like, sometimes we need to, like, empathize with them because we don't know what's their background, where they came from, and why they're behaving in the manner they are, why they're picking drug habits, why they're doing they have a gang mentality, why they're being a part of gang activity. We don't know why these kids are choosing the routes they're choosing, running away, doing whatever the hell they were doing. That's why all the adults need to start paying attention to their kids. And there's a lot of adults that live a selfish life and doing their own thing. They think that they're too busy with work. They're too busy I get it. Life is hard. We need to make ends meet at home. But at the same time, we need to help our children, okay? Because nowadays, a lot of our kids in our society are getting lost. And it's because we lacked as parents. And sometimes our kids get lost because we lack in the fact of watching where they're going, who they're hanging out with, what they're doing, who they're doing it with. We need to watch the company our kids keep around as well. Because although we raise our children properly, right? Sometimes the company they keep around can influence our children as well. So we need to pay really close attention, okay? And we can't be sitting out here as adults judging kids and saying that's a bad kid. A bad kid just doesn't happen. There's a reason for it. And you just need to nip it in the butt and figure it out as adults. Now, we have to ask ourselves this, right? How many opportunities were there for someone to notice, right? Because I'm sure there's plenty of opportunities within these kids for other people to notice their behavior. They've told these people over and over again. They've cried out. They've behaved and they've tried and tried and tried, these kids. And they're still in the same boat. There's plenty of opportunities. It's within the adult to pay attention, okay? Ask yourselves this too about these kids that we see that are supposedly bad kids and labeled as bad kids, right? Ask yourself, what support systems were available or missing in these kids' lives? Did they have a parent that was a listening ear? Did they have a parent paying attention? Did they have a parent spending time with them? Did they have a parent seeking help for them? You know, that's the things we need to take into account when we look at these kids that are troubled out there, okay? We need to look into this stuff and take this shit into account, you guys, okay? Instead of judging, because there's a lot of people out here judging kids, not knowing why they're in the predicament they're in the situation they're in. You know what I'm saying? Now we're going to talk about the power of influence, right? We're talking about the people and environments that shape teens, right? And shape these kids nowadays. So like positive influences, right? These are positive influences for kids out here nowadays. Caring adults, coaches in sports or whatever, teachers, mentors, extended family, community programs, Boys and Girls Club, therapists. Is plenty of positive influences, okay, for these kids. Now, we're going to talk about the negative influences, okay? Gang involvement. A lot of these kids that are lacking at home or going through some shit that they don't know how to deal with in life, they turn to gangs because they feel that these people are going to support them and love them regardless, and this is their family. They're trying to fill a void that they don't understand and comprehend. They can't fill it with these gang members. Like, they're trying to fill a void. And they're trying to seek every which shape, form to fill that void. And they think that by joining a gang and being part of a gang, that's how they're doing it. You know? And then plus it makes them feel cool. Another negative influence. Peer pressure. You know how many kids out here go to school and they get peer pressured at school? Hey, do you want to try this vape? Do you want to try this blunt? Do you want to take a drink with me? Do you want to go hang out? Do you want to skip school? They get peer pressured. A lot of the kids, like, it's hard for them to say no because they get so peer pressured. You know what I'm saying, you guys? Another negative influence. Online communities that glorify violence or crime. The internet, you guys. This is what it's referring to. The internet. Online communities that glorify violence and crime. On the internet, when I'm scrolling on the internet all the time, right? When I'm scrolling on the internet sometimes, right, you guys? As I'm scrolling in it. Sometimes a lot of the shit I see on the internet, Facebook and shit like that, is like physical altercations and fights. And bullying online and picking on people and people ganging up on people online. I see that shit a lot. So we need to be careful and watch what our kids are watching online and what things online are they put, what communities, what groups, what things they're doing online and they're taking part of. We need to keep that in mind. And we need to watch our kids, what they're doing online. Because these are a lot of the negative influences that children are taking nowadays. Okay? Another negative influence is unhealthy family dynamics. Dysfunctional families. That's straight facts. Families that are beating on each other, yelling at each other on a daily, not caring for their kids, drug use within the home, sexual abuse, emotional abuse in the home, speaking down to these kids. That's unhealthy family dynamics. I feel like, this is my opinion, a lot of kids are affected by that. Okay? Now ask yourself this. If no healthy adult is leading a child, then who is? Then who is? Social media and modern pressures. There's a lot of cyberbullying going on. I've seen that happen a lot. A lot of kids have taken their life over cyberbullying, okay? Which is truly sad. I read up on it all the time on social media when I'm scrolling. Imagine somebody bullying a kid to the point that they want to take their life. Saying awful things to them and making them feel like they ain't shit. Or saying that they're gonna, talking about their parents or their family or their upbringing or whatever. Like, this, or making fun of their looks. That's truly sad. Another one is pressure to fit in. These kids feel pressured to fit in. If they're friends, like if they don't have friends, right? I remember one day my teen daughter, right? She told me one day, if I feel like I can't make friends because if I don't smoke, if I don't drink, if I don't skip school, if I'm not having sexual intercourse and none of that stuff, then I don't fit in with these people. And I told my daughter, this was my exact words to my daughter. I said, you don't need to do none of that stuff to fit in. You can be yourself. And by being yourself, people love you. Those are the people that deserve to be around you. No real friend is going to push you to do things that you're not used to or do things you're not supposed to be doing so you can hang out with them. A real friend respects your boundaries. I told my daughter. I remember these conversations while my daughter was going through high school and middle school. Because believe it or not, in the middle schools, all these kids are hanging out in the bathrooms, vaping and doing all types of shit. Running away, doing things they're not supposed to be doing, sleeping around, hopping into cars they're not supposed to be in. Hi, Auntie Jerry, how are you? And I told my daughter, you be yourself. If people can't accept that you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't skip school, you're not out here sleeping around, and you have self-respect and all that stuff, those people don't deserve to be in your life. The proper people, you will attract the proper people, I told my daughter. Imagine pressure to fit in. That's one of the issues of social media, modern pressures for these teenagers and kids. Another thing is viral trends. I'm telling you, social media is fucking up this generation of kids. It's destroying them mentally, and it's destroying them as people and as a person in general. That's why I be watching what my kids be doing. I mean, I'm not perfect. My kids fall short of perfect too. Not saying that I haven't caught my daughter saying things she's not supposed to say to people or picking a fight online. No, I'm not saying none of that shit whatsoever. My kids ain't perfect and I ain't a perfect parent, but I try to keep an eye on the shit. And I know my kids too well. So I know when they acting strange and shit like that. So I keep an eye on my kids. And then I start to seek what the fuck's the problem and see what's going on and who they're talking to, what they're doing with phones and laptops and computers. You know, because we have to be woke. Parents today have to be really woke with their kids and be present. I know that's difficult with the economy. We need to work. We need to make sure we're making ends meet at home. We need to do our things. But you know what? At the same time, we need to be there for our kids. We need to make time for our children too. Because if not, don't complain later and boo-hoo later about what they turn out to be. I'm telling you, you guys. Like, you guys can hear the rain falling on my car? It's pouring out here. I remember a woman I knew, right? She was not a good influence to her children. She'd be smoking bud in her room. Bud is weed, you guys, as you all know. If they knocked on the door, I remember being in her house. If they knocked on her door, right? If they knocked on her door just to come ask a question, they're smelling the weed and she didn't mind them coming in. And I got mad one day and I said, listen, I don't feel comfortable because I wasn't smoking, but I would help her out. And she was smoking bud. I hated the smell of the weed. And I said, let me tell you something. I don't feel comfortable you opening that door to this room and letting your kids come in here smell that bud. It's not right. It's not okay. You're letting your kids get secondhand smoke. And letting them watch you roll. And letting them watch you load a pipe and a bong. I feel like that's not okay. And, you know, you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing. Like, I kept it real with her. Because, you know what? A real friend does that type of shit. You keep it 100. Not with offense. Not with not trying to offend them and not trying to make them feel some type of way. But you got to keep it real with people sometimes. They need to hear it from even the closest people. And I told her straight up. And she would complain about their behavior all the time. And I'm seeing I would be there and I'd be watching like, what the fuck was going on within this home? Well, they know you take your pills and sell them for money. So your kids are watching this shit all go down. They watch you smoke all the time and invite your friends into your room to smoke. They watch you fucking put weed and shit on bongs and roll shit and smoke all fucking day. They watch you do some shitty shit as a parent. And then you complaining about their fucking behavior and how they're acting out and how they don't have respect for you. You can't sit here and be a hypocrite as a parent, bro. If you're not showing them right from wrong and you're allowing it and you their behaviors and you're applauding the things that they're doing and you're not paying attention at all, don't complain what your kids turn out to be. Straight up. You know, a lot of parents need to fucking move their selfish ways and fucking hold themselves accountable for how these kids are turning out nowadays. But I was straight up with her. I told her straight up. I was like, listen, let me tell you something, you guys. We are no longer friends. No longer nothing, okay? And I'm so glad for that. The kids started to turn out just like her. They were manipulative just like her. Everything that she showed these kids, that's exactly how they were turning out to be. And my kids were affected by this. And when I started to see that my kids were affected and it was affecting my life, I was like, I don't want this shit to affect my life. Because then her kids started vaping. Then her kids started doing this shit and offering my fucking kids. No, fuck that. Fuck that. You do that with your kids and it's sad. And I would hear her complain all the time how her kids were acting. I said, that's your fault. You know? And now let me tell you guys, her son was an amazing, like he was amazing in sports. Very athletic build, played all types of sports. He was amazing. And let me tell you guys something. Now today, this poor kid, his body build is gone. All the kid does all day is get high all day. That's all he does. And I'm going to tell you how old he is now. He's 17. That's all he does. Doesn't do sports anymore, nothing. The kid had potential. He had a lot of talent that anybody would have chosen him to play sports, even in the professional leagues. That's how he did football. He did baseball. He did it all. He was amazing. And now all he does is smoke bud all day and do nothing. No job, no nothing. Just do shit. The daughter had a lot of potential too. She did dance growing up. She did a lot of shit. Yeah, that's truly sad, bro. She did a lot of shit. And now you see her out here sleeping over people's house. Because that's another thing she had. She had a bad habit of letting her kids sleep in people's house all the time. It was better for her. She didn't need to deal with them. You know what I'm saying? And she liked that shit. She left her kids everywhere. Like, oh, you want to sleep over your friend's house? Oh, they're not staying here tonight because they're going to sleep over their friend's house. Like, you crazy? Like, first of all, you need to keep an eye on your kids. You're letting your kids sleep out in everybody's fucking house. You know what the fuck is going on in that house? You know what fucking crazy deranged parents are living in that house or what's happening within that house. You don't know what a sick pervert lives in that house. You don't know what fucking fucked up behaviors these kids have in that house and what they're going to teach your kids. The daughter, so much potential too. Now, what's going on with the daughter? Smoking her life away too. Vaping. Hanging around with the wrong crowd. Just doing whatever the fuck they want. Parents need to take accountability, bro. We need to pay attention to our kids, bro. So, another issue to explore here is online harassment. Because this is part of social media and modern pressures. There's a lot of kids that we don't know. Sometimes kids are getting harassed online and mistreated. Let me tell you something. My 16-year-old, you know, some kids like from her school, they would be threatening her. But let me tell you something. I love the fact how my kids are because I learned to be open with them and let me know what the fuck is up all the time. Tell me what's going on because I stand 10 toes down for my fucking kids. Right? And they would tell me, and I handle business. I don't give a fuck if I had to knock on a parent's door. I don't give a fuck if I had to roll up to a school and fucking raise havoc and hell for mine. I don't give a fuck if I have to go to the bus stop and fucking handle my business. But I did. Don't fucking be harassing my kid online. I did all that shit. Call me crazy, call me ghetto, call me whatever. I don't give a fuck. Those are my kids. I brought them to the world. And I'll be damned if people are going to be harassing them online. Okay? So online harassment is a big problem for these kids nowadays. Another problem, listen, this is a big one, you guys. Is constant comparison. Taking a child and comparing him to the other. Listen, I've seen households that have compared their children a lot. And it's not right. Being constantly compared to another child or to another sibling. Oh, well, he did these choices. Then why didn't you make these choices? Look at you. You're doing nothing and he's doing something. Or she did something, you're not doing nothing. That causes a lot of self-esteem issues within your children. Their self-worth, it makes them drag, like it drags the life out of them. Like the self-worth, the self-respect, because they feel, hi Natalie, how are you, baby girl? These kids feel like if you're constantly comparing kids, like within your household, you know, these kids feel like they're never going to be good enough for you because you're always comparing them to the next, or comparing to the neighbors. Oh, look at this one, what he's doing. Look at the neighbor's kid. He went to the army, like shit like that. That's wonderful, Natalie. I'm glad to hear, honey. You know, when you constantly compare a child with other kids or in the household or outside the household, you don't know the damage you're doing to them. And these kids become, they build the mindset that they're not good enough for anybody. Okay? That they will never be good enough. And that's the mindset they keep as they're growing up. And then they become troubled teens and troubled kids. Because in their mind, they think no matter what they do, it's never good enough. Another issue that we need to explore is exposure to harmful content. Content means online. We need to, like I already said it already, I discussed this earlier. We need to watch our kids and see what they're doing on their phones. We need to like always pay attention what they're doing on computers, on laptops, on games. We need to watch all this shit. Because all this behavior can come from online influence as well. Desensitize, absolutely desensitize. It's awful. You know? And that'll affect these kids' self-esteem, all these problems, you guys, and their decision making. It'll influence their decision making. Because a lot of people out here, a lot of adults are always fucking, what do you call it? They're always like judging a kid. Oh, he's a bad kid. Look at him. He ain't gonna be nothing. Look at the trash kid he is. Let's stop judging as adults out here and let's start seeing the root of the problem and seeing what's behind that kid and why this kid is in the situation that they are and why they have become the kid they have become. Now, these are warning signs that adults should never ignore, okay? Potential warning signs, but there's a lot, okay? We can go write a list, okay? But these are potential warning signs. Sudden changes in behavior, sudden shifts. Your child start acting weird and funny. As parents, we know our children. If we really pay attention, there's parents out here that don't give a fuck about their kids and they don't know their children well enough. And then there's parents that just let their kids run rampant and really don't pay attention. So they don't know their children well, okay? We need to start watching these warning signs. Sudden change in behavior. How about withdrawal from family and friends? They start to keep to themselves a little more all of a sudden. Like starting to withdraw themselves from the friends they used to hang out with. They start to be more by themselves. These are warning signs, you guys. We need to pay attention. Aggression that is escalating. I spoke to you guys at the beginning about a little while ago about my son and the things I had to do and the steps I had to take. My daughter, till this day, she's had a little bit of escalating aggression. And I'm still nipping it in the butt. And I'm sitting down with her and listening to her. And the other day, we had a very emotional conversation. We sat here in my vehicle and I listened to her. And she was telling me how she felt. And what things that she dealt with that was very hard to deal with. And I understood her. It was hurtful to hear as a parent, but I understood her. Okay? You know, these acting out behaviors and all this shit. Like, imagine your kid telling you, I don't give a fuck about myself. I just hate myself as a whole person. That broke me. That killed me. That hurt me. That broke my heart hearing my daughter say that. And these are words that come out of frustration, bro, of things she's dealing with as a teenager. Because being a teenager alone is not easy. in this society too, bro, in schools, bro, and online, and these people out here. Like, that's just not easy, bro. At least she told you. That's brave. Absolutely, Natalie. I'm so glad she told me. Um, and that takes a lot of strength. She told me, like, I try to tell my kids all the time, you can come talk to me no matter how much it stresses me out. My kids, in their mind, they think that I'm so stressed out all the time. They think they don't want to stress me out anymore. And I say, I don't care how stressed out I am. And if I burst an aneurysm, I don't care if I end up with a stroke. I don't care if I end up with a heart attack. But tell me, talk to me, open up to me, because I want to hear it. Because I don't want my kids ever to feel like that. Okay? Now, this is another potential warning sign that adults shouldn't ignore. Okay? Yeah, kids could be mean, Auntie Jerry. Let me tell you something. I mean, my kids don't take no shit, but my kids don't want to be in fight or flight mode all the time. They don't want to be fighting people out here and fucking trying to earn respect and getting into physical altercations with fucking asshole ass kids. They don't want to be doing that. They just want to be normal, have friends, and live in society, like, you know, and do kids things, bro. You know? Another potential warning sign is their grades in school start to decline. They had good grades, A's and B's, and their grades are just going down the fucking hill. Because and this is to the parents that keep an eye, that watch the report cards and the progress reports. I watch my fucking email like a hawk. Soon as they said, oh, report cards are out, I'll be like, soon as an email comes in from one of the teachers and says, hey, they're missing this assignment, immediately I'm like, hey, you're missing this assignment. What's going on? Get it done. You have a deadline. And I'm on top of them. My son, before he graduated, I was on top of him. I got emails. Listen, you're at the end of the school year, bro. We're not fucking up right now. We're not slacking now. I'm going to push you through this. Let's go. You're almost done. Get it done. Get it done. And I was on top of him till he got it done. Okay? We need to pay attention. Another potential warning sign is substance use. When they start all of a sudden to vape, they start to try marijuana, they start to drink, to pop pills, and doing things they're not supposed to be doing. We need to watch out for that shit. Listen, let me tell you, the lady that I was telling you guys about, that she was letting her kids do whatever the fuck they want, her daughter was fucking offering cigarettes and vapes to my daughter. And I wanted to drag that bitch. Not the daughter, the mother. Because I bitch, they in your house, hanging out. You can't be a fucking adult. That's why I'm so glad that lady's so fucking out of my life. And I feel bad for her kids. Yes, Auntie Jerry, you need to encourage kids nowadays. Like, I was just not with it. Don't fucking offer my kids shit, because I will fucking grab somebody's kid by their fucking shirt and handle business, bro, and put them in their place. Yes, the kids have a choice to say no, but there's a lot of peer pressure out there, you know? I will have a fucking problem with somebody's kid. And their parents too. Like, what the fuck are you doing that you're not watching your kid do this shit? You can't tell your kid is high? You can't tell your kid is drunk? You know how many kids got suspended from high school for coming in drunk? It's crazy work to me. Crazy work. A lot of these parents don't fucking care. That's a warning sign. I know. Listen, you know what's the best thing, you guys? I'm going to explain to you guys something. And I've always been an open book, right? I've smoked weed in my life, okay? I've already lived these lifestyles, okay? When I was younger, growing up. I've experienced with weed. I've experienced with coke. I've experienced with drinking. I've experienced with pill popping. And I had an addiction. I was an addict at some point with pill popping because I had a problem with my stomach, and then the doctors gave me pills. They were narcotics, and they got me used to the fucking narcotics. And then I was fucking going crazy, batshit crazy, and I became fucking an addict. I didn't stop being a mom. I made sure there was food on the table, but I was fucking sick all the time. I was an addict, and I got myself out of that. I gained the courage, and the man upstairs, God, had, you know, grace over me and helped me go through that. And here I am today. I smoke cigarettes, yes, but I don't touch no drugs, and I don't fucking drink. So I know, and I did shrooms at some point. I popped ecstasies at some point. I experimented out here, you guys. So my kids cannot take me on a fucking ride. They can't take me on a ride and tell me I don't know shit. I know. I know when the way a person behaves. Listen, I grew up around a drug addict dad. He did a lot of heroin when I was growing up. Now it's fentanyl. He still does that shit. He's still on methadone. I know when a person's on methadone and Suboxone and fentanyl. I know when a person's doing crack. I sold drugs at some point. So I know all this, you guys. So my kids, the wonderful thing about this is, it wasn't wonderful because I was, doing the shit I did, right? I'm thinking clear-minded now. But the wonderful thing is, my kids can't take me on a ride. I notice when there's something off about my kids. I notice. They can't be like, oh, I'm just tired. Shit. No. I start watching my kids' behaviors. Till this day, you guys, call me a crazy parent, a helicopter parent. I don't give a fuck what you want to call me. I buy nicotine tests and I buy marijuana tests. And I do that shit randomly. And I check some of my kids in my house. I don't give a fuck. While you living in my roof, under my roof, you're not going to be doing this shit. When you move the fuck out of my house and you make those poor choices, that's your problem. I'm not saying I'm going to give you my back, but I don't support that in my house. That's the way I feel about that. Doesn't mean I love you any less, but I'm not supporting it. So I watch my kids. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate that, honey. I watch my children. So that's another warning sign, the substance abuse. You got to watch out for that shit. You got to watch out for persistent hopelessness. My daughter, she felt hopeless not too long ago. She broke down and she's just like, I hate my life. Like, I just hate myself as a person. That's why I don't give a fuck what happens to me. And I said, you need to give a fuck. You know why? First of all, God has allowed you to live 16 years of your life when other kids are underground at the age of 2, at the age of 1, at the age of 3, at the age of 4. You need to be appreciative that God still got you here. There's a purpose in your life. There's a purpose as to why you're here. I told my daughter. And I said, you don't need to feel that way. I told my daughter, you don't need to feel that way. You're beautiful, regardless of what people tell you. You have a great sense of humor. You have plenty of wonderful qualities. And if people fail to see it, then those are the people that don't belong in your life. And as an adult, I see it that way. If people fail to see as a good person as I am, if they see me as a dramatic person, a drama person, if they see me as no. At this point, I don't care. I'm grown. I'm a straight up person. This is me. I'm honest. I'm loyal. And I keep it 100. I don't go around, doing things to people that I don't want done to me. Straight up. I'm not out here trying to hurt nobody on purpose. I'm not out here trying to fucking destroy people's lives. I'm not out here. This is me. This is the person I am. And if people can't accept who I am, I'm not about, thank you, Auntie Jerry. I try to be sweet, I'm respectful. If you disrespect me, I try to kind of brush it off. But if you continue to disrespect me, I can get disrespectful just like you. You give good behavior, you want to receive it back, And I'm at that point in my life that I'm like, at this age, I'm 42, I'll be 43. I'm not like this is me. I'm not changing the person I am for everybody else, unless it's something that's affected me as a person and the people around me. Like I'll give you an example. If I'm a real like a gossiper, I'll give you an example, a gossiper. I'm not a gossiper. You guys know. You guys ask me, I'll tell you. Listen, this is how I feel about that. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. This is how I feel. Okay. But I'll use that as an example. If I'm a gossiper and people are telling me, listen, that's not good for you to be a gossiper and shit like that. People are not going to like you. Blah, 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 blah. Like I use that as an example. Then I need to start like really looking into myself and change that because people don't like gossipers. You know what I'm saying? I, for one, don't like gossipers. But shit happens. People will call you and be like, hey, I heard this. So blah, blah, blah. Fuck it. It is what it is. I listen to it. I don't try to entertain it too much. I say my piece and how I feel about it. Me too. Give what you would want. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree, Natalie. So this is what I'm teaching my kid. Like, if people need to accept it for who you are, you don't do drugs, you don't drink, you're not out here sleeping around with people. And I tell this to all 4 of my kids. If people can't accept who you are as a person, then they have no business being around you. And you have no business being around them. Okay? Another potential warning sign. Serious rule breaking. When they start to seriously break the rules. We need to keep an eye out for that. Like running away from the house, not coming in on time to the house, skipping school, not doing their homework, um, uh, getting in trouble in school, getting detentions, expelled or suspended, and then they start breaking rules in your house, disrespecting, you need to keep an eye out for that. Those are potential warnings. And the list can go on. Trust me, you guys. There's going to be so many warnings. We just, as adults, need to open our eyes and our minds and watch out for those warning signs. Because trust me, they are there. Just people need to pay attention to it. Now, warning signs do not always mean a teen will become violent. Keep that in mind, okay? The warning signs don't always mean that a teen is going to become violent. But they deserve attention and support just as much, okay? Even if you see these warning signs, doesn't mean they're going to become violent and become a gang member and become everything, right? But they need to be nipped in the butt immediately. You need to pay attention immediately and fix it while you can. Straight up. Now, we got to talk about accountability matters, okay? And this is a common misconception. It is so different today, Auntie Jerry. I totally agree. From when we were growing up, it's so different. I'm sure we had our defects and craziness back then. It's not as bad as today in our society and the kids growing up nowadays, you know? This is a common misconception, you guys. Trauma can help explain behavior. It does not erase responsibility for harming others. These are common misconceptions, okay? Consequences and rehabilitation can both be important. You need to make sure when your child does something, there's consequences. Accountability counts, you guys, okay? Remember, victims deserve compassion too. Everybody deserves compassion. There could be consequences and rehabilitation within a child. And they're very important. We need to keep that in mind, okay? Now, we asked ourselves, right? How do we balance accountability with opportunities for change? It's easy. First of all, we need to learn to be parents. We need to hold our children accountable for their behaviors, first of all and foremost. We need to discipline them when needed to. Take away their phones, take away their computer. There's ways to fix this shit. Us parents too need to take accountability and look within ourselves to see what's going on that this kid is doing these things. Because sometimes the root problem is at home. Okay? Do you guys think that teens and kids can turn their life around? I'm going to leave that for the audience. Yes, I see many parents who want to be their friend and not discipline. Look it. That's a perfect example, Natalie. Natalie says, well, she says, yes, I see many parents who want to be friends with their children and not discipline. Truth. Look at Mackenzie Sharilla. Perfect example. Parents wanted to be her friend, not her parents. Do you see where it landed, Mackenzie, and the type of behavior she demonstrated throughout her fucking life? And how she behaved and how she was with people and the spoiled brat she became? No self-control, no nothing, no care and fucks given in the world. To the point that she committed a fucking heinous act and took 2 lives with her heinous acts and behavior. She committed a heinous crime. That's a big one, Natalie. I like that. It's truth. Y'all can't be your children's friend. You the parent. They're the children. You know what? This earlier, I was talking to my daughter and I was correcting her, the 16-year-old. She's kind of tough, but I love her to death. And I corrected her on something and then she's like, well, How about you? And I said, listen, let me explain something to you, little girl. I'm the mom and you're the daughter. It's not the other way around. You're not my parent and I'm your child. Make sure you keep that clear in your mind. That's what I told my kid. I'm not your friends. There come a point in time that these kids nowadays use the word bro a lot. Bro. And everything is bro. They wanted to start using that shit with me at home. Bro. When I'm talking to them, I said, let me tell you something. I'm not your bro. I nipped it right in the butt immediately. I'm not your bro and I'm not your fucking friend. So don't come with that shit with me and don't use that word bro with me. I'm not your bro. Not your friend. I'm nobody else but your mother. Yep. Don't call me bro. Or don't say bro to me. I'm not your bro. Get it straight. I'm your mom. You got to correct it. Remember I told you guys earlier about my son when he was growing up? I used to call my husband by his nickname. All the kids were calling him by his nickname. And so they were losing respect for Mr. Unforgettable. And then when I got some professionals to come in and work with my son, right? They nipped it in the butt and they said, you guys need to correct this. They told my husband, you need to correct them calling you by your nickname instead of by dad. They think you're their friend. You're not their friend. You're the father. It's truth. You know? Now, can teens turn their lives around? Absolutely. I believe a teen can turn their life around. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of support, a lot of seeking help for your teen. But it can happen. I believe it can happen. Okay? Because, like I spoke about my son, he had a lot of hardship growing up, the 19-year-old. The one that's almost 19. And we got him a lot of help. We helped him different ways. We got him mentor growing up. We got him therapy growing up. We got him counseling growing up. We did a lot of things. We let him burn energy out in the parks because he had undiagnosed ADHD. We would take him out to the parks, to the beaches. For those that are friends with me on Facebook, yeah, look through my pictures. And I can show you my old Facebook too. You look through my pictures. You see me at the beaches, at the lakes, at the parks, everywhere. Doing something. Burn that energy out. Okay? And although my son had those struggles growing up, absolutely. And also, Auntie Jerry, if we keep on top of them and guide them as parents. And I helped my son and continue to help him. I was an imperfect parent. I told you I had my fuck ups, while I raised my kids, obviously, right? Everybody does. And let me tell you, my son, I pushed him to high school. He graduated. My oldest son graduated. He graduated, that one. And he graduated on a Sunday, and on a Monday, he was already working at a bank. Okay? And he does auto body repair. That's his real profession. So he's going to find work in that. But for now, he settled for the job at the bank until he finds a job in auto body. And his behavior has gotten better. And he's not, he's old enough to know when he's too hyperactive and he has too much energy. You know what he does? He takes long walks. Hi, Robert. How are you? I hope you are feeling well, my love. I hope you're feeling good today. What he does, he's old enough now. Like, I don't have to push it and stuff like that and get all the help. What he does is when he feels like that he has too much energy or he has too much going on, too many emotions or something, he comes downstairs and he takes long walks. He'll walk down to the center. He'll walk downtown. He'll just take long walks on his own because now he's old enough to do these things. But growing up, I helped him through all that. So I feel like a troubled teen can turn their life around. It just takes time. It takes effort, dedication, and parents that are willing to help these kids and not give up on them. It takes a village. You guys heard that? It takes a village. And these are things that often help, okay? Counseling or therapy. My daughter therapy. My son got therapy. My daughter's still in therapy still. She meets with her therapist every Tuesday. Okay? Another way that often helps these teens to help turn their life around is stable housing. I remember a time in my life, right, that I lost an apartment, and I decided to go into a shelter because I'm an open book. I don't lie about shit like that. Yes, Auntie Jerry, support. I'm an open book. I open up to people, and I have no shame in what I've been through. I talk about it, and I'm a better person today. And I ended up in a shelter with my children. And at this time, I only had my two boys and my daughter. My daughter was still young, the oldest daughter. And I noticed that not having stable housing was making my son act out even more. Imagine, we were confined to a hotel room where there was 2 beds, a bathroom, and that's all we did was be in a hotel room. We were confined to that area. That'll drive any kid crazy. They're living in a hotel room or in a shelter, and then from there they moved us to a house shelter where there was multiple families in the house, like 12 families, you guys. Like, everybody comes from different backgrounds, different dynamics, bro. Like, if a child doesn't have stable housing and they're hopping different place to place, they're meeting new friends. So like they start in a school and they meet people there, and then they go to the next school, and then to the next school, the next daycare. You know what I'm saying? It leaves them unstable. So, you have to keep kids in stable housing. We nipped that shit right in the bud already. I found out I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. I was like, okay, let's go. We were getting all our shit together, all our ducks in a row. We found a place. And ever since then, never ended up in a shelter, you guys. That was once in our life. Okay. In the 20 years Mr. Unforgettable and I have been together. And in the 42 years, almost 43 years I've been alive on this earth, it was once that ever happened. Another thing that often helps with kids to help them turn their life around is positive role models. People that are going to teach them right from wrong. And that are going to show. So if an adult shows these kids that they are hardworking, then kids is going to be a positive role model to them. They know that hardworking helps them in life. If an adult is making good decisions in life, these kids are going to learn good decisions. Positive role models, people that help them, Another thing that often helps kids turn around is education. There's job trainings out there. There's trainings in the high schools, in the technical schools for kids. And there's UTech that helps the kids. There's Job Corps. There's different places that provide training for kids like this. Okay. Another thing is community support. There's lots of programs out in the community that'll help support these teens and these troubled teens to help them be better and help them cope. And there'll be like groups, like they sit down with groups and they hear other teens that are going through it. My daughter was once in a program when she was 15. She got put in a program, and it was like a therapy program, but it was a day program. And she would go, and she was with other kids that had trouble. And she was hearing all their stories. They would do activities. She would hear what they had to say, what affected them the most. And they were teaching these kids how to deal with things that they're presented in life with, like how to cope with certain things. So there's a lot of community support group out there. I mean, lately it's been kind of going down the drain with the economy and everything, but like those are things that we need to keep focused on. Okay. I helped Job Corps. We built a garage for someone. That is so amazing, Robert. That is amazing. I'm telling you, listen, if we come, it takes a village, you guys. If we come as a community and we start, what made me talk about the show is I told you guys I was grocery shopping. There was 2 people out there with a sign, and they were selling chocolate, saying that they're raising money to open up programs for troubled youth. And I'm like, this is amazing. And then you see the people like laughing about it, passing by it, turning a blind eye. And you know what I said? I don't give a fuck, because you guys know I don't give a fuck. I supported them. My husband gave them money. I gave them money. And I said, I'm telling you, there's people that are so selfish in life. The more they have, the more they want. And I seen people passing by like they guess it's a joke, like they don't give a fuck. And I said, don't complain later when you see the same teens committing crimes and doing shit because you're the first ones to judge. I don't give a fuck. I said that shit. I did. I know that's ignorant, but I did. It's truth though. So another thing that often helps a teen, is personal commitment to change. Auntie Jerry says. Auntie Jerry just said it earlier. Auntie Jerry just said they have to want it. These kids have to want it. Auntie Jerry said that immediately. She said, yeah, they have to want it. It's truth. They have to be personally committed to change. If they want change, they have to personally commit to that. And you got to sit with these kids and set goals and help them achieve each goal and remind them that it's baby steps. Things don't happen overnight. It takes hard work and dedication to achieve these goals. Okay? My son, we got him his first car. Well, we helped him go get his first car. And with his first car, he's going to help build credit. And I ran him and did the baby steps of putting the insurance in the car. My other son got a car with his girlfriend. It's a beater for now, but until they can get on their feet on a better car. But I helped them get their insurance on their vehicle. Baby steps, it takes time. Teach these kids, but they need to make sure that you got to make sure that they're personally committed to change. Auntie Jerry said that. And I totally agree. They have to want it. They have to want change. Okay? Change is possible. I want to highlight that there. Okay? But it usually takes sustained effort and support. Takes a village, people. We need to support and they need to put the effort too. Okay, you want change? You need to put the effort. We'll support you. Okay? We need to come together and try to help these kids, bro. Because, like, I'm telling you, this is making me sad each and every day. Watching these kids kill each other. Doing things they're not supposed to be doing. Dying. Like, getting caught up in gang activity. Like, that's crazy to me. We're losing our youth. We're losing our youth. We're losing our youth to the streets, to the prison system, and we're losing our youth to death, to their grave. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask you guys here, no treatment till Monday. Oh, that's wonderful, Robert. I'm glad you're feeling good, man, because I know that's not easy, the cancer treatments. I'm so glad you're feeling good. Every time you're telling me you're feeling good, I'm like, I'm happy for you. We praying over you, Robert. I know that everything's going to turn out well. I'm going to ask you guys something, right? And you guys can answer it in the chat, okay? What do you think is the biggest reason that some teenagers struggle? I want you guys to answer me in the chat box. I'm going to give you a minute. What do you think is the biggest reason some teens struggle? I want to see what you guys think about that. I want you to write it in the chat and tell me, what do you think the biggest reason some teenagers and some of our youth struggle? Absolutely, I agree, Robert. Robert says there are no grants for these kids for activities. It's truth. Parents got to cough up money for them to do sports and shit like that. It's crazy work. I know. Natalie says lack of confidence. There's lots of reasons. Absolutely, Natalie. But what do you guys think is the biggest reason? Like the main reason some of our teens struggle? I believe that the main reason some of our teens struggle nowadays is because of society. Yes, Robert, nothing at home to fit in. Auntie Jerry says to fit in. Robert says nothing at home. Absolutely. That's a big one too. The home environment and to fit in. I believe the biggest reason that our children's and our teens struggle today is society. Society. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this. Do you think that society gives troubled teens enough support? Do you guys think Do you guys think, right? I know everybody's from different places in Massachusetts or other states or whatever, right? Do you guys think that society, and Robert just made a good point here, gives troubled teens enough support? I often think that society gives up a lot on the teens. My honest opinion is I don't think they give troubled teens support. Enough support. You guys think so? Yeah, I think they turn the blind eye. You know how people are thinking and society's thinking nowadays? That's not my kid. I don't care. That's not my problem. That's how they think. That's how they act. Robert said it. They're not having funds for these kids for careers and to help support them and programs. They don't have any funds. Can you believe that shit? But they have funds for other things. Funds for other things. Now, have you ever seen someone completely turn their life around? Has any of you here watching ever seen someone completely turn their life around? Yes. I turned my life around. I'm here at home. I take care of my kids. I take care of my husband. I do what I gotta do. I'm always helping other people. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything. I don't sell drugs. I don't do none of that. And I've come across many people change their lives, going from murderers to good people and trying to do better in society and in life. Going from drug addicts to better people in life and not using drugs and getting jobs and building their family. I remember down in Lawrence, because I'm originally from Lawrence, Mass, okay? There was a guy that was on the streets for many, many years. He was filled with tattoos. He had a great talent. He was an artist. He knew how to do tattoos. He was great at it. He was great at it. Guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe and share. Invite people over here. And I remember he was years on the street, always high, always like bent over, always like nodding off. Like he was just all messed up on the street. People never could believe that he could ever change his life. And you want to know something? Today, the man works. And I actually saw two of them that were on the streets. Two. I'm going to say two. The tattoo guy and the other guy. And they both have jobs. They both have their vehicles. They both bought their houses and did what they had to do. And they're standing on business. I have. Yes, a couple of old friends of mine. Absolutely. I've seen a lot of people change and turn their life around. Right now, I'm helping my brother, my little brother. He's in a program. I'm trying to help him turn his life around and to become more responsible and do what he got to do and stand on business, because I'm not going to always be here. My mother's no longer here. Like, we can't really count on our dad. Like, dude, you're grown. You need to get on top of your game. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, every child deserves to be seen before they're judged. Some young people make choices that hurt others. And those choices have real consequences, okay? But if we only react after the damage is done, we're missing the chance to prevent some of those stories from unfolding in the first place. Okay? Listening, setting boundaries, providing support, and holding young people accountable are all part of helping them build a different future. The easiest thing in the world is to call a teenager bad, because I'm putting that in quotations, bad. The harder question is, where were the adults? He got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Absolutely, Robert. Yes, Natalie. Awesome. Okay.
Hi. Do you mind if I borrow your key? Open the door. Tell them I said sorry.
It's okay. My neighbor is asking me for my key, and I'm on a live. I told him I'm on a live. Listen, you guys. The easiest thing is to call a teenager bad. The hardest question is where were the adults, right? The systems and the opportunities before that label ever existed. If we want fewer broken futures, right? We have to pay attention long before the crisis as adults. Before you call a child evil, ask yourself, who taught them that the world wasn't safe? Before you call them hopeless, ask how many times hope was ripped away from them. That's so fucking sad, bro. Before you say they threw their life away, ask who was there to show them there was another path. Not every child, a troubled child and teen will choose to change, right? Some will hurt people, and those actions have real consequences, as we said earlier. Accountability matters. Victims matter. None of that should ever be ignored. But if we only show up after the police lights, the courtroom, the funeral, or the prison sentence, we've already shown up too late. I'm going to repeat that again for the ones in the back. If we only show up when the police lights are there and the cops are called on these teens and kids, or when there's a court date and you're inside a courtroom, if we only show up when there's a funeral for these kids, or there's a prison sentence for these kids, we've already shown up too late. A child's first cry for help is rarely a crime. It's the quiet moments we overlook. The fear, the loneliness, the anger, the silence. Those are the things that people overlook, bro. Those are the moments when intervention can change a life. The real measure of community isn't how loudly it condemns a child after they've fallen. It's how willing it is to notice them before they do. The willingness to notice them and notice what's going on before they fall. Okay? Builds up in kids. Absolutely, Natalie. It builds up in kids. It's fucking awful, bro. Because broken teenagers and kids don't appear overnight. People, keep this in mind. When we see kids in society, we see them doing shit. When we see them on the news, we see them getting into trouble. Look at Mackenzie Shirilla. Yes, we're mad at her for what she did. But at the same time, let's think about it. In the environment that she grew up in, and the no structure, and the parents that fucking raised her. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Broken teenagers don't appear overnight. Broken kids don't just appear overnight, okay? They are often the result of years of pain that went unseen, unheard, or unanswered, you guys. It's sad how many children get left behind in foster care system. Oh my God, yes. That shit kills me. You guys, now that you're saying that foster care, right? I scroll through Facebook, when I have time, and I look, and then I see some happy stories of, like, let's say Caucasian families adopting kids from other races that the parents never took care of or gave them up to the system. And then we have the society that we live in, right? That go into the comment section and instead of embracing this as a positive act and embracing it as a good thing, let me tell you something. They go into the comments to criticize and talk shit. I remember reading a post in these days, and let me tell you something. I read in the post in these days, okay? A person tells a Caucasian family that adopted a young black boy from infancy, like since he was a baby, and they love him. They have a whole bunch of children, all their kids and their family, and they love this child, and they show him attention, and they're there. And in the comments, I was in fucking disbelief how people take some positive shit and just turn it into some shitty ass shit. People saying, why did you adopt a black kid and not a white kid? Like, what? Doesn't matter what race it is. They're giving an opportunity to this child to grow in a loving home, in a structured home, and in a home where they're loved and treated kindly and taken care of, bro. What does it matter? You had to see these comments, you guys. I was just in such fucking disbelief, bro. And I've come across multiple posts like that. People that adopt children, and then we have the fucking negative fucking Nans and the negative Kens and the negative Karens, or the people that make it about race or make it about something negative. Fuck that. Instead of complaining that this Caucasian family adopted a black child, a Chinese child, a Puerto Rican child, or whatever, instead of complaining, why haven't you done it? Oh, I get so fucking angry with these fucking comments, and it's fucking disgusting. Wednesday child on the news is a good thing for those kids. Isn't it crazy though, Robert, though? Like, they take something positive. This society's all fucked up. They miss the point. Like, these kids are being loved. They're given a second opportunity to fucking do their thing. And they take something so beautiful and make it into something so fucking negative. When you mentioned foster, I thought about that. A lot of kids nowadays are ending up in foster care. I knew a family. Mom and dad were drug addicts. Brought a son into this world. Brought a daughter first and a son. The son was trouble because all he saw was his mom steal, do drugs, and his dad do the same shit. Then they would complain because he was bad. He was out here stealing from people. He was out here gangbanging at the age of 11, 10. Imagine gangbanging at the age of 9, 10, 11, having a gun and all this shit and doing all this shit they do. They complain. The mom passed away with an overdose. The dad took over. And you know what the dad did? He turned him over to the state because he couldn't deal with him. Well, first of all, he turned him over to the state. But look at where he was fucking raised in the environment he was raised. They talk shit about him. They talk shit about him and say some badass shit. Oh, he's so bad. He's so this, yeah? And what was your involvement in his life? Why is he the way he is? Look at that. It's the end result. Dude, I be seeing some crazy ass shit, bro. A lot of people giving up on their children, And there's a lot of lazy parents and a lot of selfish parents too out here, that they put themselves first before their kids, or they just don't give a fuck because they're too lazy to care. And then they turn over their kids to the system because they can't handle what's the end product of what this child has become. They don't even take the time to do it. They just don't give a fuck. There's a lot of kids. I met a woman in the hospital, in the psych ward. Her child was there. He was combative with the police officer. He was just combative in general. And she's like talking all this shit about him right in front of him too. She's like, he's so bad. He's beating on the other kids. And he's the youngest too. He's beating on his siblings and blah, 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 blah. He's so bad. He's stealing. He's doing this and that and the third. And everybody was afraid to talk to the kid. Even the mom. He had no respect for her. And I looked over at him. I prayed first. I prayed over him. I'm not going to lie. And I asked God, give me the wisdom. Give me the proper words to speak to this kid so he can listen and get change into the clothes and do what he got to do and kind of like help him, right? And God gave me the proper words and the wisdom. I got through to the kid. And you know what he said, you guys? Because we don't know what's cooking in their kitchen at home. He said, my mother's with a drug addict and an alcoholic, and she doesn't want to kick him out of the house. And he was the product of a drug addict dad. He was conceived from a drug addict dad. And then not only he was conceived with drugs in his system and born to that, but also the mom is with a man that's a drug addict and an alcoholic. And he said, she has an alcoholic and drug addict in my house. The mom is criticizing him, talking shit and all this stuff, but doesn't see nothing wrong with herself and what she's added to the situation. Just like Harmony's brother got adopted by two men, so what? They wanted Harmony too. Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is as long as they loved and cared for, bro. You know? So, let me tell you something. And if we want fewer broken adults tomorrow, we can't keep on ignoring broken children today. If we want fewer broken adults tomorrow, you guys, let's stop ignoring the broken teens and children today. Let's stop judging them. Let's start helping them. Let's start doing things. Good night, Natalie. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your input. Thank you for everything. I appreciate your support, baby girl. You have a wonderful evening. Get rest. Go do your thing because I know you work, baby girl. You work your 2 jobs. I know you're a busy woman. You stand on business for your babies and your whole household. So I know how that works. So yeah, you guys, we need to start like setting examples for our teens and other kids. It doesn't only have to be our kids. It's kids out there too. And let's stop judging them. Okay? Let's stop judging a book by its cover, these kids. Let's start pressing our town halls to start taking some of their funds and helping our lost youth and teens and kids. We need to be their voice. Let's start advocating on their behalf. They don't have adults doing it. Let's start doing it. Stop thinking with that mindset, this is not my kid, so it doesn't matter. That's not my problem. We need to escape from that. Okay? From that type of mindset. And let's stop judging them. And let's start doing something positive for these kids out here. If we want positive futures for these adults these kids that are growing up into adults now, we need to also put in our little grain of rice. Meaning, every little grain of rice counts to help out. Okay, you guys? Yeah, we need to start being better, you know? We need to start being better in our society and watching our kids, especially with our kids in our house, but also the kids out here. We need to start being the voice. We need to start doing better. We need to start watching everything. We need to start being examples for these kids. Let's start doing that, peoples. And you're going to see how this society that's all messed up, our like kids and our teenagers will become better. Okay? But anyways, you guys, I appreciate you guys being here with me in the Unfiltered Corner. I am your host, the Unforgettable. You guys, much love to you guys. I appreciate you guys' support. You guys have always been great being here with me. I don't get a lot of what do you call it? I don't get a lot of viewers, but the little bit of viewers I have, I enjoy, and I know that people watch on replay, which is great. I'm happy with that shit. Let's just try to build this channel. Let's invite your peoples over here. Let's share. Let's turn on notifications. Let's like you guys, and don't forget to invite your peoples to subscribe. You guys, much love to you guys. Good night. Good night, Robert. Good night, everybody that's watching. Much love. I am your host, the Unforgettable. You guys have a wonderful evening. Peace, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Welcome to the Unfiltered Corner. Pull up a chair, leave the mask at the door. We talk about the things they hide. Real talk, real life, nothing brushed aside. It's the Unforgettable, yeah. Remember the name. We talk about topics, we say what we mean. No games, we keep it real and raw. Let the truth come through. Judgment free zone. This space is for you. Come get comfortable, relax, get loose. Kick off your day, shake off that blues. Welcome to the Unfiltered Corner. It's true. The Unforgettables here. I'm riding with you.
Good night, my peoples. Peace.